Watching news at Prime, and we continue with our coverage on the rape case of the Eastern Cape 7-year-old girl. AfriForum has written another letter to the Eastern Cape Police Commissioner to intervene in this case. The lobby group says the police's failure to properly handle the case has led to what it says are false and defamatory claims by social media users and senior public officials alike. Let's get more now, and we're joined by AfriForum's Public Prosecution Unit spokesperson, Barry Bateman. Barry, good evening to you, and thank you once again for making time for us. Before we talk about the Eastern Cape Police Commissioner, which is the person that you are asking to intervene in this matter, and we'll ask exactly what would you like for him to do, let's start with yet more allegations that are being levelled at the door of the school principal here. In fact, in your letter today that you've written to the Commissioner, and I want to quote you directly, you say, ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said at a press conference on 1 April 2025 that the minor victim was raped at the Bergview College and that the suspect was being shielded by AfriForum. He further called on the police to swiftly arrest the suspects. How do you respond to what the Secretary General of the ANC has had to say today?
Well, it's quite shocking. The Secretary General of the ANC is basing his position on plainly false information. And this is why we had written to the Provincial Commissioner. Things are happening very fast in this matter, and things are escalating. And you know, listened to your earlier reports, and you see the public's outrage is what is happening. And we fully agree with the public's demands on the police to expedite the investigation of this case.
Let's then talk about what you are asking of the SAPS Commissioner in the Eastern Cape, because there does seem to be unhappiness about the handling of this matter. What exactly are you asking of him?
Well, we've written 3 letters to the Matatiele Police Station Commissioner. The first on the 17th of February, and then the other 2 in the last few days, which we've made public, and we disagree. We haven't had a response to any of them. The first one was where we raised the issue related to the request for the buccal sample, where we made it clear that Mr. Peterson was prepared to provide the sample as long as the police complied with the relevant due process. Since then is when everything has gone viral, and people are now accusing the principal of not submitting or purposely interfering in an investigation, which is patently untrue. The silence from the SAPS to make clear where the status is of the investigation has allowed this environment for this false information about the principal to perpetuate to the point, and you just referred to Mr. Fikile Mbalula, them making those claims. You also had the MEC for Education on Newzroom Afrika earlier this week, where he also said, he made the point that he expected the principal to be arrested this week. It's those kind of things. The police must know, do they have suspects or do they not have suspects? Make this known, because until they don't or do not, this air of suspicion is going to surround the principal. And we say there is absolutely no evidence to support the allegation that he is a suspect. The objective facts, which are verifiable and which the police have, do not support the claim. So we want the Provincial Commissioner to come out and make a decision.
The police today coming out and telling us here on Newzroom Afrika that the Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit at national level is now going to be taking charge of this case. Surely that should go some distance to demonstrate the seriousness that is now being applied to this matter.
In some respect, you're right, but I think it's a little bit too late. We're 5 months down the line, and the situation is that a principal of the school has this cloud hanging over their head. The FCS must at the very least be able to tell us tomorrow whether or not the man is a suspect or not, or in the other event, who are the suspects? And if they don't have any, say that as well. There needs to be some kind of clarity very soon. But what we're seeing, Cwecwe, and this is the unfortunate aspect, and we say it in our letter, is that the way the allegations are being made against the principal, we have to infer then that the investigations process has been focused on the school itself. And it appears to have not included any of the events or the people who might have had any contact with this young girl in the days after the 14th. So it would then appear that the investigation was focused in the wrong area. So if you're going to try and find suspects at the school, you're not going to find any. And that is the unfortunate lapse in the investigation, which we believe the FCS will establish once they start questioning the investigating officer who has been assigned to the case and looking at the objective facts as we have set out in our letters.
Yeah. Two dangers arise here for AfriForum, Barry, and let me deal with the first one. In the event that the principal is ultimately a suspect, what will you do in that event?
If evidence is produced to show that the principal is a suspect, our office walks away. We are an office of prosecutors. We do not defend people accused of crimes. But we have looked at the available evidence, and the objective facts demonstrate, it goes as far as that the principal was nowhere near the school or the location where the child was picked up on the day. He was 2 kilometers away in a different office at a different campus from where the pre-primary or the primary school children are taught and picked up. So that's the one aspect. The other aspect is if you look at the timeline of events as provided for by the mother of this child victim, it demonstrates the crime did not take place on the Monday, but later in the week. So just to reiterate the point, Goli, if any evidence emerges that Mr. Peterson is a suspect in the matter, we walk away.
And just before I move from the principal, as we speak today, has he finally agreed to give police that DNA sample that they have been requesting, or he is refusing to do that on the basis that he's not a suspect?
Well, it's never been our position that he won't provide the sample. The correspondence of 17th of February remains unanswered. And in that correspondence, we tell the SAPS, we're prepared to cooperate with the investigation, but please follow due process. So there hasn't even been a response to that correspondence, which in other words hasn't created the opportunity for engagement with the SAPS further to that. So the position remains the same, Toli. Mr. Peterson is prepared to provide the buccal sample, and he has cooperated with the police since October last year, so has the board of the school, so has all the teachers. But please follow due process. It's not an unreasonable request.
So follow due process means arrest him, and upon him being a suspect, then you can take, or he will readily provide the DNA sample. Is that the position?
No, Toli. There are provisions in the Criminal Procedure Act, I think it's 36E, which provides that an investigating officer may request a buccal sample from somebody for 2 reasons. A, they suspect them of being involved in the crime, or B, whether it is part of the investigative process to eliminate them as suspects. Okay, so those are the 2 reasons. The reasons that was provided to Mr. Peterson by the investigating officer that he wanted the buccal sample was because the wife had, or the mother had asked for it. Not because he was a suspect, not because it was going to assist the investigation, but because the mother wanted the police to get the sample. She had decided that this must be part of the investigation. It cannot be. It cannot be that complainants dictate to investigating officers how investigations must be conducted. So we're simply asking the investigating officer to follow the process, and if he does so, Mr. Peterson will provide the sample.
Final point on the dangers for AfriForum. The principal is not the only individual at the school that is seen or that's looked at as a person of interest. There are others. Why is it that AfriForum has chosen to represent Mr. Peterson? And I take your point. I still remember that you are not his legal representative. You are, I suppose, you merely giving him advice. Why not do the same for other individuals at the school? Otherwise, is this not going to be viewed through a racial premise that here AfriForum again representing a male, a white male for that matter, in a case so tragic of a child that is alleged to have been raped?
Dolly, we didn't choose to represent Mr. Pieterse. We were approached by Mr. Pieterse and asked for help. Our office acts as a law. We take instruction from clients. So we were approached by Mr. Pieterse, not on the basis that he was accused of rape. And I think I've explained this, that he was being accused of covering up the incident that happened at the school. And the reason he approached us is because he was asking us whether the criminal charges or cases could be pursued against the people who were making the false claims against him online, as well as issuing death threats against him and his family. So that's how we were approached. We haven't been approached by anybody else related to this matter.
Barry Bateman, thank you very much for your time. He is the spokesperson of AfriForum's Public Prosecutions Unit. Thanks indeed.